Hello, everyone. Welcome back, and thank you for joining us today. We have a brand new story to share, so let's begin. I never imagined that at 56, my life would begin to unravel in ways I had never prepared for. Marriage to James had always been the foundation of my existence, steady, comfortable, and filled with quiet affection. Our evenings usually passed gently. He would unwind after a long day at the office, while I tended to my garden, losing myself in the calm rhythm of planting flowers or pruning rose bushes. Together, we had created a sanctuary, a haven built on trust, routine, and subtle kindnesses. Yet beneath the tranquility, I often wondered if we had both grown so accustomed to each other's silent presence that we had forgotten how to truly see one another. Then, one autumn afternoon, James proposed a dinner party at our home, inviting a few colleagues he had grown particularly close to at the firm. His face lit up with excitement, clearly eager to merge his professional life with our personal one. Though I felt an inexplicable unease, I swallowed my hesitation, reminding myself that these events were part of supporting him. I wanted to meet these co-workers he spoke so highly of, especially Ethan, a newer member of the team, whose name often came up at our dinner table. He was described as bright, charismatic, and full of potential. James respected him deeply, though I had yet to put a face to the name. A curiosity began to stir within me about Ethan. Something about the frequency of James's praise intrigued me, though I couldn't quite place why. On the evening of the party, I meticulously arranged our home, candles casting a warm glow, the comforting aroma of roast herbs filling the house. As guests trickled in, laughter and cheerful conversations quickly eased my nerves. Still, I felt a lingering tension, an intuitive tightening in my chest as I awaited Ethan's arrival. He arrived later than the others. His entrance was subtle, yet impossible to miss. Ethan stood taller than I had imagined. His confidence radiated effortlessly. His eyes immediately found mine, piercing and intense, lingering just a moment too long as James made the introductions. My pulse quickened inexplicably under his gaze. A sudden wave of discomfort rushed over me, an instinctive reaction that puzzled and unsettled me. As the evening progressed, I felt Ethan's presence keenly. His laughter was infectious, yet strangely unsettling. Each glance in my direction felt heavier than the last. Each casual touch on my arm lingered longer, awakening a sense of anxiety I hadn't felt in years. Amid the pleasant conversations, a dark tension quietly grew, unspoken but undeniably present. As I moved through the room fulfilling my role as hostess, I couldn't shake the sense of dread that had settled over me. Little did I know, this unsettling evening was only the beginning of a storm that would soon challenge everything I thought I understood. I knew about trust, boundaries, and the limits of my marriage. In the days following the dinner party, I found myself haunted by an unease that I couldn't easily dismiss. I repeatedly convinced myself it was all in my imagination, an exaggeration born from the stress of hosting. But no matter how hard I tried to forget, Ethan's intense gaze and unsettling familiarity haunted me, weaving themselves uncomfortably into my thoughts. My home, once a place of warmth and refuge, now felt strangely unfamiliar, as though the peaceful fabric of my life had begun to fray at the edges. James, oblivious to my internal turmoil, cheerfully chatted about work, repeatedly mentioning Ethan's name with genuine admiration, unaware that with every mention I felt an invisible knot tighten in my chest. One evening, while James was late at work, my phone buzzed, startling me from my distracted thoughts. My breath stopped when I saw Ethan's name light up the screen. A message read, "It was wonderful meeting you, Laura. You left quite the impression. I'd love to continue our conversation sometime." My pulse quickened as anxiety gripped me, my fingers trembling. What exactly did he mean by that? It seemed innocuous, even polite, yet something about the phrasing, the timing, felt deliberate and unsettling. I hesitated, my thumb hovering uncertainly over the screen. My heart raced with conflicted emotions, but finally, I swallowed my apprehension and typed a cautious response, Thank you, Ethan, but I'm not sure I understand. Let's keep our relationship strictly professional. My message was firm, yet polite, intended to establish a boundary and reclaim control. His reply came instantly, chilling in its subtle confidence. Of course, Laura, I completely understand your position, but boundaries can be so limiting, can't they? The hidden implications of his words sent a shiver down my spine. This was no misunderstanding. Ethan knew exactly what he was doing. Suddenly, our brief interactions at the party took on a sinister meaning. My mind raced with questions, confusion, and a growing sense of vulnerability. How would I tell James without sounding paranoid? Would he believe me, or would he dismiss my fears as unfounded insecurities? That evening, when James finally returned home, he found me quiet and withdrawn, consumed by my anxious thoughts. He paused, noticing my distant gaze. "Is everything all right?" he asked, his voice gentle, filled with genuine concern. I opened my mouth to speak, but the words caught in my throat. Would sharing this alter the trust between us, forever changing how he saw me? Or worse, would confronting this dark truth threaten the life we'd built together? Torn between protecting him from unnecessary worry and needing his reassurance, I took a deep breath, my heart pounding, uncertain of the consequences my revelation might bring in the days to come. My anxiety grew sharper, overshadowing even the smallest moments of joy. Ethan's message replayed endlessly in my mind, each word laden with unsettling intentions. I tried to immerse myself in daily routines, grocery shopping, gardening, preparing meals, but his presence haunted me like an unshakable shadow. Every unexpected sound startled me. Every unfamiliar number on my phone made my heart pound with dread. I was drowning in a secret that I wasn't sure how to share, afraid of what James might think or say, yet increasingly desperate for support. Then, on a rainy Wednesday afternoon, while James was still at work, my phone vibrated again. The familiar dread twisted painfully inside me. Ethan's name flashed mockingly on my screen, and the message was short but disturbingly intimate. "Laura, have you reconsidered our little talk? I hate to think we're getting off on the wrong foot." My fingers trembled as anger surged through me. This had gone far enough. Determined to confront him, I quickly typed back, "Ethan, your behavior is inappropriate. I've made my boundaries clear. Please respect them." My pulse raced as I sent the message, my hands shaking violently from both fear and defiance. The silence stretched out unbearably before his reply arrived. "You misunderstand me, Laura. I just thought we shared a connection. If you insist, though, I'll step back for now." That phrase, "for now," hung ominously in the air, a subtle but clear warning that this wasn't finished. I sat frozen, heart hammering, struggling to regain control of my breath as panic threatened to overtake me. For the first time, I realized just how vulnerable I truly was. This was no longer a vague discomfort. This was real danger, encroaching upon the edges of my safe, predictable world. That evening, I knew I couldn't face this alone any longer. When James came home, I guided him gently to the sofa. My voice strained as I finally spoke the words I dreaded. "James, there's something you need to know about Ethan. He's been sending me messages, making me very uncomfortable." My voice cracked, tears threatening to spill. James's expression shifted swiftly, from confusion to shock, then anger. Yet beneath it, I could sense his pain, his guilt at having unknowingly introduced danger into our home. "Laura," he said softly, gripping my hand with reassuring firmness, "I'm sorry I didn't notice sooner. We'll handle this together. You're not alone." In that instant, amidst my fear and uncertainty, I felt a surge of deep relief and profound gratitude. Yet I knew even then that this was only the beginning of a battle whose consequences we couldn't yet fully foresee. In the days following my confession to James, tension settled thickly over our once peaceful home. James, who had always been calm and rational, now wore a hardened expression, his eyes clouded with a quiet rage I'd never witnessed before. Each night I watched him pace the floor, his silent intensity filling the room. I could see him battling his protective instincts, torn between confronting Ethan directly or handling things through the channels of workplace protocol. My guilt deepened, knowing this chaos was sparked because I hadn't spoken sooner. Despite his reassurances, the shadow of blame crept into my heart, gnawing at the edges of my peace. Then a few evenings later, just as we began to regain a fragile sense of normalcy, my phone buzzed sharply, breaking the uneasy silence between us. My stomach lurched, recognizing Ethan's number once again. This time his message wasn't subtle. It was frighteningly clear. Ignoring me won't solve anything, Laura. We both know there's unfinished business. My breath caught in my throat, icy fear spreading through my veins. I turned instinctively towards James, whose eyes immediately locked onto my trembling hands. He didn't ask. He simply took the phone from me and read the words himself. The transformation in his expression was immediate, chillingly calm, yet fiercely determined without a word. James stood grabbing his coat. From the rack, panic rose inside me as I reached out to stop him. "Please," I begged, voice shaking. "Don't do something you'll regret. He's trying to provoke us. Don't let him win." James hesitated, tension radiating from his clenched fists. His gaze softened briefly, filled with pain, helplessness, and a deep yearning to protect the life we'd built together. "Laura, I can't just sit here and watch him torment you," he whispered, voice drained. "This has to end." As we stood in that anguished silence, our front doorbell suddenly pierced the tension, ringing sharply into the night. My heart nearly stopped. Who would come here now? At this hour, James moved swiftly, positioning himself protectively between me and the door with slow caution. He opened it, revealing Ethan standing confidently on our porch, wearing a dangerous smile. His presence felt invasive, brazen, and deeply threatening. Ethan's eyes flicked past James, locking onto mine with chilling intensity. "Laura," he drawled, ignoring James completely. "I thought we could clear up this misunderstanding face to face." The words hung heavy in the night air, suffocating me. James's posture tightened, ready for confrontation, and my breath came in shallow gasps, every instinct screaming to flee from the nightmare unfolding right on our doorstep. The silence that settled over the three of us was electric, heavy with tension and barely restrained anger. Ethan stood motionless, his smug confidence unwavering, as James positioned himself firmly in the doorway, a living barrier between us. My heart thundered in my chest as I took a cautious step forward, desperate to defuse the situation before it exploded beyond control. "Ethan," I forced out, my voice trembling, despite my efforts to sound steady. "You need to leave. You've crossed too many lines." His eyes narrowed slightly, amusement flickering across his expression, as if enjoying the spectacle. "He'd created lines," he echoed mockingly. "You know exactly what I'm talking about, Laura. Pretending you didn't feel it doesn't erase it." James moved forward abruptly, his voice low, vibrating with controlled rage. "That's enough. Ethan, I don't care what fantasy you've built in your mind. This ends now. Stay away from my wife." Ethan's lips twisted into a bitter smile, his gaze never leaving mine. "She can speak for herself," he taunted softly, deliberately baiting James. Further, in that instant, something snapped inside James. Without warning, he lunged forward, grabbing Ethan by the collar, forcing him backward onto the porch. My scream broke free, echoing through the darkness as I ran after them, panic surging. "James, please," I begged, gripping his arm, desperately trying to pull him away. "He isn't worth it." James hesitated, his grip loosening, just enough for Ethan to wrench free. Stumbling backward, but still smiling defiantly, he straightened his jacket, eyes glittering with satisfaction. "Careful, James. You wouldn't want your temper getting you into trouble." He sneered, his words laced with thinly veiled threats. "This isn't over." As Ethan retreated into the shadows, James stood rigid, breathing heavily, fist clenched. Slowly, he turned to me, anguish and guilt etched deeply into his face. "I'm so sorry," he whispered, hoarsely, pain raw in his voice. "I couldn't let him hurt you anymore." Emotion choked me as I reached for him, pressing my face into his chest. His heartbeat hammered beneath my cheek, a frantic rhythm matching my own. We stood there tangled in mutual fear and relief as the night around us grew silent once more. But even as we held each other, the unsettling truth lingered in the air. Ethan's parting words weren't empty threats. Deep down, we both knew this confrontation had set in motion something we couldn't easily stop. Ethan wouldn't simply walk away, and the security we'd always felt in our home was shattered. Holding James tightly, I felt a cold dread creep into my bones, wondering anxiously what Ethan planned next and whether our marriage could withstand the storm he'd unleashed. In the days following Ethan's chilling departure, an oppressive silence descended upon our home. James and I moved through the motions, speaking little, each lost in the tangle of our own thoughts. We tried desperately to reclaim normalcy, but Ethan's presence seemed to lean gore, poisoning even the smallest moments. Every creak of the floorboards, every rustle outside the window sent shivers crawling up my spine. Sleep became elusive. Each night spent lying awake, straining to hear any sign of intrusion. One evening, as darkness settled, thickly outside, my phone buzzed. I glanced down, my heart lurching painfully. When I saw Ethan's name flash across the screen, I wanted to ignore it, to pretend this nightmare wasn't real yet. Something compelled me to open the message. My hand shook uncontrollably as I read his words. "You can block me, but you can't ignore the truth. We both know how you really feel." My breath caught sharply, panic squeezing my chest. James, noticing my distress, gently took the phone from my trembling hands. Anger flared in his eyes as he read Ethan's taunt. "This is harassment," he muttered darkly, gripping the phone tightly. "I'm gonna end this, James. Please," I pleaded softly, terrified of what might happen next. "He's dangerous. Maybe we should call the police." James hesitated, torn between his instinct to protect me and the unsettling fear that Ethan's obsession was spiraling into something darker, something neither of us could control. Finally, he nodded solemnly. "You're right," he whispered, defeat heavy in his voice. "We can't handle this alone anymore." Later that night, an officer sat at our kitchen table, scribbling notes, as James recounted the threats, the harassment, the unsettling encounters. The officer listened carefully, but his expression remained unreadable. My heart sank when he finally spoke, choosing his words carefully. "We'll investigate, but without direct evidence of violence or explicit threats, our options are limited. Keep your doors locked, install cameras if you can, and contact us immediately if he approaches again." As he left, a wave of hopelessness settled over me. James pulled me into his arms, trying to reassure me, but the tension in his body betrayed his own fears. We both knew Ethan wouldn't stop at mere words. He had already crossed lines. We thought, unbreachable. What was next? That night, lying awake beside James, fear seeped into every fiber of my being. I knew Ethan was out there waiting, watching, planning his next move. Our once peaceful life now felt fragile, balanced precariously on the edge of disaster. As darkness closed around me, I couldn't help but wonder how far Ethan would go, and whether James and I would be strong enough to survive the coming storm. In the days that followed, a suffocating anxiety settled into every corner of our lives, making even ordinary tasks feel daunting. James installed security cameras and reinforced the doors, but neither locks nor lenses could shield us from the unseen threat that Ethan had become. The very air around us felt thick with anticipation. Each passing day, an unbearable countdown to whatever sinister plan Ethan might be harboring. Then on a cold Friday evening, as darkness blanketed the house in eerie shadows, a sudden knock at the front door shattered our fragile sense of safety. My heart leaped into my throat as James rose cautiously, eyes meeting mine in silent acknowledgement of our shared dread, gripping my phone tightly, fingers hovering above the emergency number. I watched as he approached the door and peered through the small window beside it. "It's Ethan," James whispered, voice tight with controlled anger. My pulse quickened, panic surging through me. "Don't open it," I pleaded desperately. But before James could respond, Ethan's voice pierced the silence from behind the locked door, calm and chilling. "I just want to talk." Jenna, you owe me that much. James clenched his fists, jaw tight with rage. Get away from our house. Ethan, you've done enough. There was a pause, and then Ethan laughed. A low, humorless sound that made my skin crawl. You can't keep me out forever. Jenna knows why I'm here. She understands. Leave, James said sharply, his voice vibrating with fury. Or I'll call the police. Another silence stretched painfully between us, broken only by the rapid pounding of my heart. Finally, Ethan's footsteps retreated, fading into the night, leaving behind a silence somehow more terrifying than his presence. James locked eyes with me, his expression haunted. This can't continue, he said softly, the weight of helplessness heavy in his voice. We need to leave, even if just for a while, somewhere he can't find us. I nodded, numbly, tears welling, as relief mixed with the lingering dread. Where can we go that he won't follow? James drew me into his arms, holding me tightly. We'll figure it out together. That night, sleep eluded us entirely. Every creak, every whisper of wind sent shivers through me. Ethan had made his intentions clear. He would not stop until he reached me. His obsession was no longer something abstract. It was real, dangerous, and growing closer by the moment. As dawn finally approached, a new chilling realization settled over me. Running might keep us safe temporarily, but sooner or later we would have to confront Ethan head-on. And when that moment came, I feared we wouldn't be ready. As dawn broke, casting pale streaks of sunlight across the room, the silence felt louder than ever, an oppressive quiet that amplified every unspoken fear. James had barely slept, his face lined with worry, the shadows beneath his eyes betraying his deepening exhaustion. We had spent hours debating our next move, every option seeming inadequate against the persistent threat Ethan had become, yet beneath the fear and uncertainty, a quiet resolve was beginning to take hold of me. I cannot let Ethan control our lives any longer. It was time to confront him directly. Late that afternoon, my phone buzzed, an unknown number. My heart sank, dread pooling in my stomach as I opened the message. Meet me alone tonight, Jenna. Let's settle this. If you don't, you'll regret it. My fingers trembled, fear and anger warring within me. James read the message over my shoulder, his face darkening with fury. Absolutely not, he said immediately, his voice firm. We'll go to the police. He's crossed a line, but they haven't helped. Before I whispered, tears stinging my eyes. He'll never stop unless I face him. I need this to end. James took my hands, his eyes desperate. It's too dangerous. Jenna, he's unpredictable. We don't know what he's capable of. I squeezed his hands, drawing strength from his presence. James, I can't live like this. We can't live like this. If I don't go, he'll never stop. It's me he wants. I have to do this for both of us. Finally, with a heavy sigh, he nodded, reluctantly. I'll follow you. I'll stay hidden. But I won't leave you alone. With him, the night came quickly, cloaking the world in darkness, the cold air biting sharply against my skin as I stood in the empty parking lot. Ethan had chosen. The streetlights cast distorted shadows, heightening my sense of vulnerability. My heart thudded painfully in my chest, my eyes scanning desperately for any sign of Ethan or James. The silence stretched unbearably until I heard footsteps behind me. I turned sharply, breath catching in my throat. Ethan stepped into the faint glow of the street lamp, his expression unreadable. I knew you'd come, he said quietly, his voice carrying a dangerous calm. What do you want from me, Ethan? I asked, my voice trembling but determined. He took a step closer, eyes intense, unblinking. You know exactly what I want, Jenna. I want what we had before. James, I won't let you go. As I stared into his eyes, a cold shiver ran down my spine. This confrontation had barely begun yet. I already felt trapped, cornered by a man who would stop at nothing to reclaim what he believed was his. And at that moment, as fear closed around me, I wondered if I had just made the biggest mistake of my life. Life often tests us in ways we never expect, just like the journey we've witnessed in this emotional story. Through moments of confusion, betrayal, and personal awakening, our main character reminds us of an important truth. Facing difficult decisions with courage and honesty can lead to remarkable personal growth. Sometimes standing at a crossroads means taking a path that terrifies us, yet holds the potential to transform our lives. Have you ever found yourself in a similar situation? How did you navigate the complexities of trust and self-discovery? Share your experiences and insights in the comments below. Your stories can inspire and help others facing their own challenges. If this story touched your heart or resonated with your own experiences, please like this video and remember to subscribe to Heartfelt Tales, Reddit, for more gripping stories that explore the profound and authentic moments of life. Be sure to hit the notification bell so you won't miss the next captivating chapter. Your support means everything, and together we'll continue exploring the beautifully complicated journey of life, one heartfelt tale at a time. See you soon.